Oh, so you're staying put for,
Oh, I know, traveling.
it's nice to travel, but flying isn't, there's not much flying, I feel. Like even, we did, technically, I guess we did 6 flights in the last 2.5, 3 weeks. And nothing went wrong with them. But it's just like the waiting, the getting elevated, all of it.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. It's always a challenge to make sure you get there and you go through security and blah blah blah. It's a little stressful.
I find it that way.
Yeah.
It's just like there's another little stress for me. I don't fully trust apps with boarding passes. So, I'm getting with the 21st century there. It's like this low level anxiety, like what if my phone dies? What if I can't find it?
What's so interesting is to go. So we went through every airline we fly, which is all of them, and we went into our personal settings and inputted all our passports and our what's the federal ID?
Yeah, the I know what you mean. The
Global entry.
Global
entry, and
Put it all in.
and TSA. You put it all in, and when you do that, you automatically get TSA pre-check for every flight.
Yeah, we wanted to do that global entry. I mean, during COVID, they kind of shut it down and made it hard.
We went down to Wall Street and did it there.
That's what somebody said.
Yeah, and then my kids went to the airport and did it at the airport. You had to book an appointment.
Right.
And it's well worth it, especially you that goes to Italy.
Yeah. I feel like, it's time.
Gotta do that.
Yeah. Hi. And to you.
Yes. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
We'll be getting started in a minute. So can we just do a sound check? I wanna
Sure.
see if-
How does this sound, Val? Testing 1, 2, 3. Is it recording? That's great.
Would you mind if I sit at the end of this week?
No, that's a great idea. Yeah, they still haven't worked out the AV here. No, it's not you. It's that there should be we first of all need a screen about 4 times that size. Val, would you like to say a word to Peter Roberts? That would be great, I think. Sure. So, any minute now. From Bill, I did not one way or the other, no. I'm seeing, oh, no, still a couple minutes. You must be Mike, I'm guessing.
Yeah, hi.
So pretty good guess.
Yeah.
So we really can't start until 7 because it's a public meeting. Secondly, we have to approve the minutes first, but we'll be with you in very short. Yep, no, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'm also in the middle of the planning board. We have a special use permit that we're applying for, so there's a lot more to come. So I figured it'd be good to introduce ourselves. I don't know if you noticed my wife, she spoke at the planning meeting. She's my business partner and wife partner.
Okay.
But we have two businesses that we operate. One is Windfall Farms in Montgomery, New York. So we're actually down in Orange County, 142 acres of beautiful preserved farmland. It was preserved back in 2016 with Scenic Hudson and Hudson Valley Land Trust. Great historic house. It's not on the historic register, but it is from, I think we've got records from 1863 is when it came into the Pitts family. There's history that kind of dabbles even a little bit further. That says that there's probably been a house or a cottage there since early 1800s. So it's a cool area. It's really interesting, but it's also changed. So what we're also doing is opening up a retail outpost for our farm goods as well as network of farmers. So that's what's going on at Water Street.
Yeah, that's a very exciting thing. Not that I should comment so enthusiastically. But,
No, don't let it sway your decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, clearly.
Yeah, we're really keen on not using pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides of any kind, not even the organic. We like to think we're trying to do good by the earth. Preservation is really key to us too, of natural resources. So we see a lot of differences between Ulster and Orange County and how they treat the two things. So I appreciate any work you guys have done to fight off the mega warehouses. Beware.
Yeah, no, I'm following one story in particular.
Yeah, they moved really quickly. And all of a sudden we found ourselves encircled by multiple different companies, but all really the same ownership. Like one person sort of signs all the paperwork, but they start all these, holdings companies.
Yeah.
And they buy everything out, they solicit the neighbors, and then we're sort of in their way. It's sort of how we're treated, but I'm gladly in their way, to the point of where we've kind of gotten a lot of delays on their projects, which I know can be kind of costly. And also we get some concessions for the road improvements that they're doing and the culvert replacement because it goes over the Beaver Dam Brook, which is Class A waterway. So we really fought hard to get the proper coffer dam situation, and then the culvert is the bottomless kind.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been a fight. It's been like many years of doing this, and so it's nice to see a municipality that kind of takes it.
We're definitely trying, I'll say that.
Yeah, more green space, but yeah, developers are tough.
Yeah.
They really are.
It's Sunday. Let's start the meeting. So let us open this meeting of the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Commission of the Village of New Paltz. This is our regular meeting of April 8th, 2024, and we are live as of 7:02. Thank you both for coming. We have quorum, so we can enact any business that comes before us tonight. First thing is approval of the minutes. Did anybody see anything that struck you as needing to be amended? How about a motion to approve? Okay, seconded by George. All those in favor? Okay, minutes approved. Val, thank you for making that always such an easy task. Mike, why don't you come up and whichever, you might prefer that seat just because the screen will be visible from you.
Sure thing.
So thank you for coming, and we're in possession of both the certificate of appropriateness form and the sign permit form. So we kind of have the paperwork that you did. I think you answered one of my questions. So some of the forms were filled out by Lisa Barone. That's your wife.
That's my wife.
Okay, totally clear on that.
Yeah.
And then the herbal confectionery is the dispensary part. So
Correct.
help us understand like what's inside the door of the new space.
Absolutely. So if you guys are familiar with what was formerly the Groupie Blueberry, essentially it's a pretty large commercial storefront on the first floor. And really what we were looking at is it has a lot of doors too. It has about 5 entrances and exits. So what we're really trying to do, and part of the site plan that we're putting forth for the planning board, is to show them that we have a safe and compliant way for people to enter the dispensary and exit the dispensary without interrupting the other businesses that we intend to occupy the space with. So essentially what we've done with the building department, the permits that we've already pulled, Alex has kind of given us a little bit of the rundown with how this process works. But essentially we were done with the construction that we did inside. We put up one wall on the Main Street and Water Street corner. It's really like the front smaller
north
footprint.
facing.
Yeah, the one that's on the bridge side.
Yeah.
So on that side, really what we wanted to do, because we're really diverse business owners, we really wanted to bring more than just a dispensary to the community here. I think one of the things too to point out is that we're actually what's called a micro business. So we are a licensed cannabis micro business for adult use. Essentially, the micro business is sort of like the craft brewery of the cannabis sector. We have the ability to vertically integrate, but we are capped by the amount of products that we can create, and we're limited to only what we produce ourselves.
Okay.
So that's cultivate, and also like if we do infused edibles or topicals, we can't sell other brands. We have our own in-house brands. My wife and I are chefs from New York City for 15 years or so. So we have a big culinary background. I went to the culinary school in Hyde Park. So I'm sort of Hudson Valley native. It's really what brought me out here. But really what we're trying to do is bring this concept to New Paltz. There was a lot of decisions that had to be made to get there. But one of the things that really struck us was the location of this particular building and what the owners, Amy and John Cohen, put forth to us. What they really wanted to try to accomplish was to fit in a business or business owners that would meet the requirements of the Gateway Zoning District. One of the things that I think I noticed about that was that we are looking to provide something that enhances not only the residents, but also the tourists, and really just giving something back to the community. So not only do we have the intention of bringing compliant, safe, adult use cannabis sales to New Paltz, we're the first license holders in New Paltz. I know there's a couple other tentative businesses, but I think we really have a good shot. The state has really put forward a lot of energy to try and get us to opening, and we're just working with the planning board to get the special use permit for that. Okay. Now with the farm store, what we're trying to do with that is we'd like to have some shelf space. We're allocating 50% of all of our shelf space to other farmers so that we don't just only sell our own goods. We have a close network of Ulster County farms, some have been Green, Sullivan, just kind of like local. We try to keep it within about 50 miles, but we have about 15 other farms that have committed products that we will, purchase wholesale and retail farm goods. So we're trying to keep a fair shelf space for dairy farmers. We have a really cool dairy farmer. He's the smallest dairy farmer in New York. And we'd like to just kind of see some of these farm network friends that we've created over, in our agricultural tenure. And I think that really what we're trying to do is just bring some diversity to the farm store. So we kind of saw this as a cool project. We've got some refrigerators and we're kind of going to run it like a community market. And I used that word with the planning board mistakenly. And the reason I don't want it to be perceived as a market is because we are not a farmer's market in the traditional sense where we would pop up tents in the parking lot. So the parking lot adjacent to the property is part of the entire lease that we have for the building. We have ample parking, as I think the village is aware. So we're trying to find a way that we can have a way to give something back to the community in terms of good vegetables, clean vegetables. So really, we didn't want to change a lot. We're not trying to change the building. We are not trying to bulldoze it down and create a hotel.
We would like to see it kind of stay as the iconic location that it is known for. We've agreed to keep the blueberries. The butterflies needed some work,
Okay.
but the blueberries stay. So really what we're trying to do tonight in front of you is I'm requesting for the sign permits. And essentially what we tried to do is we have our own branding and logos. It's the Windfall Farms with the nasturtium flowers.
Mhm.
And it's a light blue, it's the color we painted the interior. And it's, you know, this brand has been around for about 43 years, and the history really is, most of the sales were happening in New York City for a long time. We've been participating in the Grow NYC Green Market program in Union Square and the Upper West Side for many years. The veteran farmer, that's my wife's cousin, he's pretty well known, Morris Pitts, for doing this style of farming, and it's inspired a lot of the other farmers in this region. So we're really trying to bring some awareness to this style of farming that we consider unconventionally grown. And it's really it's the opposite of conventional farming. It is not intensive pesticide use. It is
Mhm.
not pumping nutrients into the ground from unknown sources. We're very much using, natural remedies for pests and things like that. And I think that there's sort of like an awareness of that in communities, especially up here in New Paltz. So we hope to see it be a unique fit where people can get specialty produce that I think has been in high demand. We have asked a lot of the village residents, customers of ours that shop with us up in the Catskills at one of our markets, and we've gotten just unanimous support. Everyone says they'd love to see us in town. And really the signs that we're asking for, we figured it would make sense to just do exactly what existed previously. So
Yeah.
same size, same shape, same location. Really try to keep it as simple as possible for the Windfall Farms community market.
Got it. That's great.
Yes, and then I think that we'll probably be here at the next meeting, if you'll have me back. I would be submitting potentially some paint colors for the exterior. And I wanted to ask you if you have any resources on paint colors available that I can pass on to my designer.
We're sitting directly across from our resource.
No, I just
Perfect.
usually help the. And we normally suggest colors from the Benjamin Moore line just because it's locally available.
Yeah,
And very good paint, as you
So
probably.
can I ask you,
Yeah.
what is the extent of work you are going to do on the outside?
I would like to change the color of the trim and the
Okay.
shutters. And it's all kind of tentative and up to, the board to decide. But
Is the siding, is that siding
It's
vinyl
vinyl.
siding on there?
it's vinyl siding. We'd like to power wash it. Might look like a
That would
different
be
color.
great. At least
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
So we're gonna update we'd like to change the color of the trim and the shutters. And I think the pillars they're like a yellow color. So the yellow and the purple, unless it's really something that you want to see kept on that corner, we could find some more neutral greens or something that kind of fit the.
Something that would be more farm.
Yeah. Something that kind of blends into the background a little bit too.
Well, the color that you suggested for Ed Burke's building for the shutters, the Benjamin Moore, it's the black green, black forest green. That's correct. That
We
will
could
look
get a
really
nice
nice
look at
on the
that.
shutters.
Yeah,
there's
I
an
can definitely look
example
into that.
just around the corner.
It's very dark green though. I don't know if you would want to go that dark
I
on this
will-
particular building.
I will be honest, I am a lot of operations and I'm not the guy to pick colors. My wife will do a much better decision, kind of coordinating the colors. And we can pass, I have a designer too. I have a professional designer that's helping us with the interior remodel. She's been helping us, match paint colors, and
that's-
we'd be happy to take a look at what's
Because-
available.
I think for this type of business, maybe a lighter green.
Yeah,
would be
probably
good.
something that
like a-
suggests produce. Yeah,
Like a lettuce or scallion type.
Okay, yeah, and I think currently what the trim on the roof awning is, I
Mhm.
think that's kind of like a dark green, and that was sort of what we were trying to kind of think about matching.
Yep.
So I'd like to, formally
Yeah.
submit that in our next application, but we were trying to do this in a phased rollout. Where there's still some time before the cannabis dispensary is ready and permissible. But the farm store, we are a farm and we are growing food. It's a beautiful time of year. We've got ramps coming in next week. We've got spinach to die for, and we're really known for our specialty lettuce. So this is a great time of year for us. So we'd like to try and get ourselves up and running. I've got everything except for, we kind of have a little bit of a zoning conflict, I think, that kind of came up just for the use of the building, but we'll work through that with the planning board. And
Well, if it's, yeah, that could be another board.
yes, and it could be a
Braces.
zoning problem.
Yeah, if it's zoning, that's probably gonna be zoning board of appeals.
And really what I've kind of gathered, there's not a lot of information on file for that location. There is no site plan, there is no survey. We're working on getting a survey so that we can produce a site plan to specification, but currently there's sort of like, there's a little bit of a gray area on what the building's use is in actuality and what its assigned use is, because currently its assigned use is mixed office, which is in conflict with zoning for the Gateway District,
Yeah.
because offices are not allowed in the Gateway District. So its current assigned use, which maybe just hasn't been updated in 20-something years, currently is in conflict with the zoning and also does not seem to match what the previous business occupant was,
Correct.
which was, it was a retail. So what we're trying to do is, when I talked to Alex, the building department, we were under the impression that it's a retail farm store. And we thought that it would not need planning board approval. But I think because of just the entire site itself, the parking lot, the crossings, and the traffic, I think the planning boards just want to do a more thorough review and try to kind of update some of the things that haven't been up to code yet, because everything's pre-code, my understanding.
You will find us the easiest part of this process, I think.
Thank you.
Let me just circle back to colors for a moment. So as much as we strongly advise seeking and following our advice, it is not binding. So we're working, which means that
I
you really
appreciate that.
don't have to come in another evening unless you want to. We've often handled this by Camilla
By
just
email.
being sort of delegated
can
to,
just-
or do a site visit with your designer.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to do a site visit too and see what we're up to.
Yeah, I mean, a lot can happen, and Camilla has the fan of Benjamin Moore colors, like every color on earth is in that
Great.
color fan, I guess they're called. So let's sort of bracket that. And then in terms of signage, it's actually the building department that verifies that the signage doesn't exceed permissible. We're really just here for the design part of it. So the basic questions that we usually ask are, how's it going to be attached to the building? Are you planning any lighting that's not there? Is there any change that somehow didn't get onto the form?
No change.
Okay.
We intend to replace as existing.
Okay.
We may, refasten some hooks. The previous sign was fastened by hooks and chains.
Mhm.
We may just make a more secure version of something similar, but no intention to do any uplighting. That part of town, I think, just has a lot of, it's pretty well lit. Plus, just for your information too, part of the security plan of the dispensary operations will be to have an on-site 24-hour security guard, as well as just we have to have surveillance equipment and a pretty thorough security plan in place. But really, as it exists now with the current lighting, there's a spotlight on the front of the building. We intend to just keep it as is.
Okay, that's easy. And then in terms of the design, you mentioned that it's vinyl. It's a vinyl base. Sorry, I had it a minute ago.
And we did, I'm not much of a sign builder myself. I'm a chef and a farmer, but we did hire a professional sign maker to do the work itself.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a metal sign with vinyl prints.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think, the only thing that we tend to look out for here is a form of lettering or design that's gonna cause you grief, like if you're new to this.
Yeah.
But you've got a professional sign builder, that satisfies me on this. So does the dispensary have the same name?
No,
So what's gonna happen with signage?
it's a great question. So what we're planning to do is actually there's only one entrance to the dispensary, and that is on the Water Street side, the side closest to the Walco River that faces the Airbnb that's just down the way. So if you're thinking south of the building,
Okay.
south side of the building, up the little patio deck there, there's a double door entrance, and we're doing some modifications to it so that one's an outswing door, one's an in-swing door. And we're also upgrading it for ADA accessibility. So we're going to be going forward with a plan to build a accessibility ramp off that side. And the signage for the exterior is intentionally sort of hidden. We'd like it to be sort of hidden in plain sight. We don't want it to be a loud banner with lights and elephants. We really want to keep it kind of subtle and discreet. And then really on the interior, we have a little bit more signage and stuff, but we actually have to, by compliance, do window screening. So we're going to have a one-way glass.
Got it.
It's also shatterproof. That was one of the requirements for safety for us to have. So it's a window film, non-reflective, that creates, I think we have to get a professional to install it, but it creates a shatterproof one-way glass so that people can't see into the building, they can see out of the building, and it lets some natural light come. But yeah, I think really imagining, and I can get you guys the application for that sign once we kind of know that it's moving along a little bit with the planning board, because they're going to want to see these details on the full site plan. So I can kind of update you guys when I have a little more information about that one. But our intention would be to keep it small. I'd say just off the top of my head, like a 18 by 24 sign hanging from a wrought iron, one of those little brackets, is kind of what I was thinking.
Have you asked whether, are you at the maximum square footage with this signage?
No, I think actually with that zoning district, I believe there's a total of 45 square feet because it's a corner spot in the Gateway District. So there's a lot of signage that we could have, but we don't actually plan on doing it.
Okay.
We sort of like to be known word of mouth. We don't, we're not going to advertise on a billboard. We'd rather just be known for for really our niche products. We're really a specialty producer, looking to kind of attract tourists and residents to, what we hope to be a really cool location for the town.
Would you consider having a carved sign instead of a flat metal sign? Well, they make you could get carved signs out of wood where the letters are carved out.
Yeah.
Or they do them in styrofoam where you can't tell whether it's wood, but it's kind of dimensional.
Yes.
And then this,
I can look into that because that actually, I think it's just a little bit more.
it gives it more oomph.
Could we potentially do a temporary sign with our vinyl? And then as we, we're farmers and we sell vegetables, we make a little bit of money. We have a good carrot year. We could invest in a wooden sign with some.
It doesn't have to be wood. They make them out of styrofoam and
I don't
they're
wanna use
very reasonable.
I know.
And it's just a suggestion.
I appreciate it. And I actually think the wood sign I do really like.
They're beautiful.
So we would
Yes.
want to move forward with that and
Great.
talk to our sign person about it. Because I think that could be a really unique look for the
I
aesthetic.
think it might be something that you'd want associated with your business model.
It brings quality to it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think we're in a position to dictate that. That's in the form of a suggestion.
Suggestion.
No, and I think it's a style choice too, and I think would really improve the aesthetic of the whole thing. So.
Yep.
I definitely, if I do get a quote on one of those, would you like me to present it to you guys first, or?
We'd love to see it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
that'd
Yeah.
be nice. Thank you.
In the spirit that, we've sometimes saved people some trouble by spotting something that two sets of eyes or, one set of eyes hasn't seen. So,
Okay.
sure.
Cool.
I had one last question, which is, I'm assuming that the Groovy Blueberries sign comes down.
I did take the Groovy Blueberry sign down, the banner that was out on the front.
Yeah.
The only things that, unless otherwise requested, the owners would like to keep the peace blueberries on the top, on the apex there, to which we don't currently have an objection. Maybe a fresh coat of paint, but keep those and remove the blueberries or the butterflies.
I think that's between you.
Yeah,
You may find that that blue doesn't look very good with the green that you settle on,
yeah,
but again, that's between.
yeah. Okay, cool. I think, maybe it could become a new art piece or something. And yeah,
Yeah.
the
Very
sculpture
cool.
garden there.
Do you all feel like we have the dimensions of what we're?
Yep.
The window lettering we talked.
I'm sorry, we didn't get
Window
to that.
lettering.
Sorry, that was my second. So window lettering, walk
Yes.
us through.
So
It's this
just
image,
under
just
the Groovy
slightly
Blueberry
down.
sign is the large window,
Yeah.
and it would be Windfall Farms Community Market in,
Nice.
I believe I sent you guys the font, pretty simple,
Yeah.
vinyl, what's that, decal window lettering.
Yep.
Simple text. What we're hoping to do
That's
there.
great.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for reminding me. I was looking
No,
at
of
it.
course,
and
sorry.
It slipped away. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so that's unanimous. This actually takes the form of a recommendation rather than officially an approval. Like the form you
Yeah.
filled out is helpful, but turns out not necessary. We will communicate that approval / recommendation to the building department tonight.
Perfect.
So that's really all you need. Keep in mind George's suggestion about a wood sign, but if, the money doesn't permit that, keep it in mind for another year.
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
No, I think there's a really cool opportunity for us to do some really cool things here, and in the spirit of farming, watch us grow, because it really gets interesting. So
I think that's terrific. I
great.
think you'll get a lot of support from the community.
I really hope so. I think, we've looked into opening a farm stand in our own county, but there's just a little bit less of, we're sort of in an industrially zoned part of town. So it's just a little off the beaten path. So we wanted to bring the farm to the village. And we've seen a lot of other small farmers in the region, trying this new model out that I don't think a lot of people have tried. But like a small grocery store has done really well in a lot of other towns that we've seen. So
Great.
I hope to do the same.
I think you'll see that there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, it's-
Right.
It's pretty dense just with residents, and then on weekends you'll see. Anyway. all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and that's why we're hoping to get a parking lot plan figured out with the planning board, because I think that's the biggest issue, is people using and safely crossing that roadway there. It seems like a lot of people don't necessarily use the crosswalks. And they tend to go for the most dangerous corner, but
Yeah.
we've got some ideas on how to kind of get people to
Yeah,
go the other way
we
with
do a
some
lot of
natural
things through just
barriers,
like barriers.
Nice.
Cool.
Mike, that
Okay,
sounds
thank you.
absolutely great.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Valerie will connect you with Camilla, and then you can go from there with colors.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. That would be fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Good luck with the other
I appreciate
commissions
it.
and boards. Thanks.
Of course.
Great. So that's done. Thanks. Jude, come on up. How are you this evening?
Good, thank you.
Good.
It's good to be back.
Good to have you back. So according to our agenda, we were first going to talk about 17 Broadhead.
Yep.
Are you further along with materials or any details?
Yeah, the plot kind of thickened, I suppose.
Oh,
Sort of. So I did make a trip to Builders and Williams, and they also sent me to Herzog's in Kingston.
yeah.
They all basically gave me the same booklet of materials and just said,
Comment?
Look through this and you'll probably find what you're looking for, which basically gave me no results at all. I thought I'd have a little more success. But I really cannot find anything within there. Builders did say that they could maybe custom mill something. But I haven't heard back from them yet. And I started looking elsewhere to see if custom milling could maybe be an option, but I mean, I did get one quote from Duchess Millwork across the river, and it was just, the price was just beyond
Yes.
anything we could possibly afford. But I did look into like cedar 2x4s for railings,
Mhm.
and that would be like a really inexpensive option for us. I think that's definitely the way we want to go, because we've milled up railings before in our shop with that same material, so that should not
Not
be
a bad-
a problem. So I don't see why we can't go that route with the railings. And in terms of the spindles, could not really find many. I honestly probably found less in that end of things than anything else. Builders could also mill those, but yet again, haven't heard back from the associate there. And to be honest, I actually did have another look at the spindles I found at Lowe's, and I did some remeasuring, and their size actually is pretty much exactly the same as what we have now. And
In terms of width or
yeah,
like,
in terms of width, I mean, length is better because it's longer.
Yeah.
And frankly, like the profile's, it's pretty close. Like it's really, it's close as we could possibly get with unless we custom mill. And even then, I do think it's actually pretty accurate. And really the only issue was the post.
mhm.
So unless we find the lathe, I don't know how feasible it would be, especially with prices, because it's not a project we've really been able to budget for. We really have to try to keep it as low as possible this season.
I think those posts are pretty easily found. And not the exact, but extremely close. And they're available, you know, through standard suppliers. And
I think Lowe's
Yeah.
had them, didn't they?
I think if you look at REEP, REEP, and I'm sure they gave you one of those books if you went to the lumber yards. And I've used those posts many times and very readily available. In a 6x6.
Yeah, it's nominal 6x6,
Yeah.
right? And it's actually about 5.
It could be 5.5 or 5 3/4 square, but
Okay,
That's Reeve, you said?
yep,
REEB,
REEB.
okay.
Okay.
I know the books you're talking, they're just these big 3-ring binders.
Yeah, it really,
The only challenge you'll have is the spindles up on top because they're small. And,
Yeah.
you know, you might be able to retrofit buying one spindle on the bottom and making two for the upper part,
Hmm,
you know. So, but otherwise, you don't have to custom make anything. You should be able to find everything.
do you have a lathe on the premises?
we don't.
Okay, because what was coming to my mind is that the decorative spindles, the short spindles at the top, you know, what you're gonna run into is that they're not gonna be aligned anymore with, because the spindles below have to be tighter than they are. But what I was thinking is you might be able to pull from the sides and if you had a lathe, you could, fabricate 2 or 3 at the most, just to compensate.
Hmm. I had it in my notes from the last meeting that the upper spandrels would just be removed and cleaned up and then,
But beware, they're not, I mean, unless they don't now line up vertically, they're
Mhm.
not gonna line up.
yeah.
Because if they attempted
Mhm.
to do that with the original spacing, you're gonna create a dissonance there.
Yeah, the company I was trying to think about is HB&G. HB&G. And
And that's for posts as well.
that's for porch posts, yeah. And you could get them in wood or permacast, either way.
Okay.
Over the years, I have switched to permacast because wood is just tough on the outdoors.
Yeah.
And, even treated at times, it's tough. The new treated lumber they're making is just not what it used to be.
Mhm.
And permacast is just a new way of handling stuff, and you can't tell the difference, and it lasts. And this company makes both.
HB&G, got it. What's your timetable?
July. Sometime midsummer, because our school groups aren't
We
really,
talked about this, right? Once the
yeah,
school
we're a
groups-
little bit less busy right in the middle of summer, and then the school groups start again in September, obviously, and then October, forget about it, because we just have even more tours and like individual, more Halloween related stuff and events like that. So it's a little more difficult then after that is it's pretty late in the year.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking too, if we were to get a lot, if, for example, you could bring in a sample spindle from Lowe's,
Mhm.
and, get exact dimensions on what's there, take a closer look at the decorative, spindles above, have a look at these 2 resources that George mentioned. We can get really specific and get this thing approved in a month, I would think.
Mhm.
Because it sounds like you're still a little unsure about what your move would be, right? I mean, you haven't priced it out or decided on it.
Yeah, I have. Well, depending on, I mean, it really depends on the approval of certain materials. I mean, in terms of cedar 2x4s from Lowe's, that's like $80. Going with the spindles that they have there, that would be like 215. So that's,
Yeah.
295 or not 275.
And then the posts are the other.
And the post, yeah, the post of the tricky part. So that's kind of where
Okay.
that's the real obstacle we've hit. Because yeah, I mean, I did that math completely wrong, but floating around like 300, and then obviously the posts are just the one thing standing in the way.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean-
they're gonna be an expense. There's just
Yeah.
no 2 ways.
Mhm.
I remember spending, I think like $130 or $170 15 years ago. Something that was fabricated in Texas.
Yeah.
But that company's out of business, sadly. But I mean, George is giving you 2 good places to look.
Yeah, I'll give Reben HB&G.
Yeah, HB&G is gonna be the better place to go to. You can't buy from them direct. They're a wholesaler.
Yeah,
So you could go to Builders First Source or Williams Lumber. You could spec them out, the ones you want, and then you could get a quote from them.
mhm.
I'm not sure if Lowe's is one of their, retailers,
Yeah,
but either, you could get them definitely from Builders First Source and Williams.
yeah. Builders. Builders definitely said they could do it for the spindles. They said they weren't 100% sure about the posts, but
They
I'll-
can get,
I'll give them the shot, you know.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if you go there with a specific company model number, that should be. I'm raising all this, Jude, because, you know, when it comes to the point of approval, we really have to, you know, be approving model numbers and
Right, yeah.
sizes and specifics like that, but I think you're close.
yes.
Um, George, would you be comfortable doing like consult if he runs
Absolutely.
into- So Jude, there's another help. We can, or you could always just get in touch with Val or me if you're running into a roadblock. George may know a way around it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I spent like a half a day just driving back and forth to these
Yeah,
suppliers, and they just handed me the book.
Yeah,
That was kind of it. But you know, we're just very busy at Huguenot Street as well. So it's like you can only dedicate so much time before I run into the next meeting. So, but I will definitely bring in the spindle.
I mean,
And you can check out that profile because I really do think it's pretty accurate and that would be pretty cost effective.
and are they treated? Wood, do you remember? Probably. Do you have any knowledge back there?
well, you know, a lot of contractors make mistakes and put non-treated balusters outside. They're only good for a few years,
Yeah, I know.
so.
Yeah, it's pressure treated.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's gonna give you good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not totally immune,
yeah.
but
Well, the good thing about those spindles too is that if we had to replace them, it would be really easy
yeah.
to you know, put one in and take one out.
Yeah,
Yep.
even at the point of purchase, you may wanna set aside half a dozen or. You know, they're not that costly, and if you have them in stock, then 10 years from now, you don't even have to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Does that feel like a comfortable way forward? We'll just try to get this down to the very specifics of what you want to do. You can always reach out to me or Val for help from George. Or help
Yeah,
from-
I'll try to do my best to get basically just work on the post and get that. I'll channel that information hopefully before even the next meeting.
It sounds like you got the rail and balusters
Yeah,
taken care of, just a matter of finding some posts, and you'll find them from this company,
yeah, okay.
okay?
Yeah, because you know, I mean, the one thing about the posts is they do kind of match the profile of the balusters.
Well,
So
you might want to look at the balusters from this company too. They might
Yeah.
have the matching carvings from the post
Oh, hey,
at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
So you might want to look at both from this company.
Mhm.
that's a really good point, George. Yeah, so we're, you know, available if you want to talk it through before the meeting.
Yeah, I can definitely send you material that I find.
Sounds great.
It's just this this time around, I really couldn't find any material. to send
Well,
you.
I mean, also, it's not really a knock on anybody, but sometimes it's just easier in stores like that to make it your problem, not their problem.
Yeah.
You know. So does that feel okay? We can talk about the Gene House and the Abe House too.
Mhm.
So everybody, I think you saw the communication around this. I mean, this is fantastic, you know, stuff's being done in a really precise historic way. Val, can you remind us, we have talked about these projects at prior meetings, but did we ever take action? Yes.
This is the Abe East Wall,
Yes,
correct?
yeah, that's the
Okay.
plan for the Abe East Wall. What's the timetable there? Sorry, I keep asking.
No, it's okay. That's just
I'm laughing.
I've been,
because
I've been asked that question by a number of people. And it's hard to say because there's a couple of different elements to the project, including masonry,
Yeah,
redoing a few of the doors as well as some of the windows, and they're all kind of at different points of I don't know, I guess at different stages of progression right now. And right now we really can't do much work on the Abe house because this Friday we're starting field trips and they use that as a tour house. And that really won't end until the middle of June, probably,
Yeah.
probably the end of May, more realistically. And this is also a project that's sort of also being overseen and funded by the Hasbrook Family Association. And they have a contact that I can provide you like their information with, who's also sort of overseeing the contractor who's going to be performing the work. So right now, realistically, we're hoping that maybe we could have the work done sometime in the summer because field trips won't be going on and we'll have like probably 2.5 months to get the work done.
okay,
The other tricky part is, some of the work requires like reframing and putting in different style doors, and that might require opening up the house for a certain amount of time. So our curatorial team is concerned about the collections items inside the house. So they want to possibly remove them from the house while it's happening, while the work gets done, and bring them back, which would require some extra time as well because it takes some time to bring all that stuff out and put it in the right place and then bring it back.
totally understood.
So it's hard for me to estimate, but I'm hopeful that the summer, July and August could be an accurate timeline.
Okay, I was really just making sure we weren't up against something that was gonna start next month, so it's clearly not that.
No, yeah, we with field trips and curatorials concerns, it's gonna take a minute.
Okay.
And they haven't really finished up all of their, one of the things they had to do was take off framing and see what some of the old original pieces might have looked like.
Right.
And they've done that for the doors and most of the windows, but there's one window left that still is kind of up in the air because they've taken off the framing and it's really unclear what was there to begin with. And the masonry, filling in windows, that's something that's could probably happen sooner than later. Well, not really. We'd have to wait for all those other things that I said before,
Yeah.
but it's a little simpler, I guess, because it doesn't, it really just requires getting the right stone and planning ahead.
Yeah.
But that work won't be performed by us. I'm not sure if that was covered in the scope of work, but
I guess I sort of did assume that, but I'm not sure.
yeah, it's actually a separate contractor that we'll be using,
Okay.
who actually was a past employee at Huguenot Street.
Oh.
Karsten Engel.
Yeah, yes, going back a ways.
Yeah.
We did look at fenestration.
Okay. So what I'm wondering is, is this legitimately just repairing and replacing? In which case we can save the trouble. Val, we acted on that as a COA in reference to the same windows. I'm just thinking about procedure.
That's.
Gotcha. Oh, I think that's on the west side,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So the same house, but different elevation. And lock it. I can lock it.
Well, I mean, there's our precedent that we did ask for a COA for essentially the same work on the west side.
Mhm.
So probably what should happen is, do you think you can do that for the next meeting? Most of the information's done. It's really just kind of
If you want, we can
doing
see.
the cover sheet.
Yeah, filling out the actual.
Yeah,
permit. Yeah, I
yeah.
can,
I don't, I mean, this is all extremely high level, good work. I don't see a problem, but it is an exterior change. The good news is that if you can't find it, they'll probably find that form. So you've even got a prototype for filling out the next one.
okay. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And I can. Yeah, I could work on that. Or I don't know if that was Renzo who filled that out, or if it was,
Yeah, it would have been.
it was, okay. Because Neil Larson is the point person for the HFA. So I wasn't really sure if he had actually done this in the past himself or not.
No, but we
Okay.
included attachments from Neil.
Okay.
But I actually can just forward it to you now because it was part of our audit document.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's easy. So that'll just, I mean, then it's just paint by numbers.
Okay.
I'll get that done. And why don't you, in the same application, include the work for the Abe House, the gutter work? Because there's nothing stopping you from doing that, and that's just one application you don't have to do.
Yeah. For Gene, the Gene has.
I'm so sorry for the Gene House.
Okay.
My bad.
No, I just want to double check.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is the. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm twisted around. So it's the Abe House, east wall, and it's the Gene House gutter system.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you could just put them both in an application, we'll deal with what's like a two-phase thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That would make it. a lot
Sounds like
easier.
some homework for the May meeting, but you should be good after that.
Yeah. The applications won't be.
No, I mean, really, the supporting documents are here. I think a couple of photos would help.
Okay.
Because these things become part of the record. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
we do archive them.
Yeah.
That meeting is the 13th of May, Monday, the 13th.
Okay.
If you want to get that on your calendar. Does anybody see anything else that should be raised or mentioned? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, and the gutters are really just more or less a like for like.
Yeah, it really
I think
does.
they're
feel
gonna be
that.
a little bit bigger.
Yep, I
just to
believe
account
it
for
was, they kicked out, I'm sorry, an inch or
Mhm.
so. Yep, that'll be noted. I don't see any problem. I was kind of shocked at the shipping price, which is about nearly equivalent to the construction price, but that's how it is.
Yeah. We'd like to do the same thing for your house, but kind of hoping they might be able to do it in-house.
Yeah.
Because we have the design plans for the gutters, because we used to do them in-house. But I guess it's been a while. But we recently hired Karsten Stover as the maintenance and security assistant, and he was working there for a number of years before Renzo started, really. So he's got a wealth of knowledge of some of the projects that they used to do.
Sounds great.
So hopefully we can do that with a couple other houses. We'll see.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll work on finding those posts. I'm definitely gonna check out those resources, and I'll
Yeah, if you
Let
run
you know what
into
I find.
anything that, you know, is confusing, George has done this many times. He'll be able to guide you.
Okay. Awesome.
Sounds great, Jude.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a
Thanks
nice
so much.
evening.
Take
See
care.
you in a
Thank you.
moment. Okay, that's. We did do a public hearing. Gosh, I think my opinion's changed. This just doesn't. Yeah, that would be. Right, I feel very comfortable.
They're just turning, they just want to make it look more like mid 18th century.
Right,
It's all the same stuff, just the other side of the house.
yep.
Let's see.
We'll figure that one out. We'll be in touch. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Michael couldn't be here, but from Huguenot Street, top of the list is 2A. We should be expecting an application from Jeff and Andrea Noel. They would like to put in a sunroom on the south side of their house. He already checked with the building department that the setbacks are okay. So we'll see a project that will need a public hearing for sure, because it's a big addition, or it'll be addition, but it may be the next meeting, it may be a couple of meetings from now. And then Michael reported, Val, I lost Michael's email. Do you have it handy? I can go find it too. He had a report. I think I can pull it up. Yep. So he reports two things. One is that the former Richard Hasbrook house at the north end of Huguenot Street seems to be undergoing major interior demolition and restoration. Tradespeople are coming and going, their dumpsters coming and going, nothing else to report. I think we've been assuming all along that that's all happening inside, and the current owners understand that anything on the outside will have to come to us. So that's one. Secondly, the 181 Huguenot Street came to the ZBA like 2 days after our last meeting. Michael represented us there, reiterated our position vis-a-vis historical appropriateness. But the ZBA was a 3-person committee that night, and they basically have punted this decision to a forthcoming meeting when 2 more members will have joined the ZBA. So I think the people at 181 are still kind of in limbo. I guess that 3-person board considered the appropriateness or right of the current building inspector to reconsider the determination of a previous inspector. They agreed that the current inspector did act appropriately. So maybe not great news for their cause, but that's what they decide.
The document, I think Bill sent it to us about the CRGs and Historic Preservation Commission's roles. There was a section on there about educational purposes. And I think that might be helpful to the owners, maybe.
That could be. Is this the document, legal aspects of?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I thought that was a really good document, and I wanted to ask if anybody wanted a printed copy, because I think I would.
Yes.
So that's 2. George, how do you prefer print or?
I'm not familiar with it.
It's it was in that pack of 10 documents that Val sent the other day.
I might not have read them all.
It's a 15-pager. Do you
I'll
like?
take it. I'll take one.
Okay,
Yeah, please.
so Val, I'm thinking maybe we should just all get a copy of that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good document. And then we have it in e-form if you wanted to share it with the owners. Do you have that kind of relationship? Michael might.
Oh,
Well, that's a really good point. Why don't we, as a matter of fact, Val, let's get a copy to everybody with the idea of talking about it at a forthcoming meeting. And I guess if it's going to be paper copies, then maybe we can distribute those. I could take that on. We could just get them copied here. Oh, right, because we can't print directly to such an annoyance. Would it be easier just that, do you have a printer at home?
Yeah, I mean, I can print that for our own
Yeah,
use.
I can
but-
have it on email,
yeah.
that's fine.
All right, let's just leave it.
Yeah.
Let's leave it. That's a lot of running around. So it's not networked to, like if we sent it to Autumn, she couldn't run copies for us. All right, let's just decide individually if you want to. take a copy.
Okay. Yeah, it might be
It's a
good
really
if
useful-
Tom wants to discuss it next meeting, maybe that could be another attachment.
Why
And
don't
we could all look at it again then.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll just, because I didn't study it, but I looked at it closely enough to see it's really good.
Okay.
Lays out a lot of principles. Okay, so that's. Camilla, how about the art show updates?
But I don't have anything new to report, but I have a question about the brochures, since we don't have PDQ anymore.
Yeah.
What would be the best way to
You
do
could
it?
go down to, what's the place by Smitty's? Hudson Valley Impressions.
What did they do?
They do all of that stuff now. They do it for my wife and Make-A-Wish and everything else. Yeah, Hudson Valley Impressions.
It can't be any more than PDQ.
They're very reasonable and extremely good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice if they did?
But again, I could.
I just don't want to make it too complicated. Mm,
It'll be pretty much the same format as
Yeah,
previous years.
yes.
It might be just good if you were out walking, just to knock on their door and see what kind of lead time they need. The advantage of a place that does professional copying is sometimes you can get slightly upgraded paper that feels a little nicer in the hand. That's a great tip, George. I didn't realize that they did that. And I thought we were
Nice
down
stuff,
to like
yeah.
the copier at Walgreens, which is not anything too great.
And the other thing is that I think probably at the next meeting, maybe we could discuss reception related issues. Not issues, but like who is willing to help with the setup and who is willing to provide maybe buying the drinks or something like that. I will do most of the shopping myself, just to keep the receipts simple and in
That
one
sounds great.
receipt, but
We've, I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
attended this art show. It's really
No.
good. You get like, up 40 or upwards of 50
sometimes
entries, and it's really good quality. So we do a little reception. I think we're gonna have the budget again. We put it in as a line this year. And Camilla goes all out with treats. We usually all contribute some little dish. or something.
it's possible to take a video.
I mean, like with the whole thing. or-
Yeah. It's just
Video highlights, we could certainly do. I think of the
not
best way to do
necessarily
that.
professional. Just
See what comes, yeah. Do you know how to edit video?
So
Yeah.
I haven't done that before.
Maybe there's some eager student who'd like to,
That might be a good internship. Maybe.
I don't know if it'd really be an internship so much as portfolio item. Let me think about that.
And maybe an internship idea would be someone to manage the Facebook page and do more active
Well,
posting. than
yeah,
what
we could,
do,
that's
because
right. Yeah,
I try to stay away from Facebook as much as I can. Avoid it. But,
okay.
I don't know.
There may be somebody, that time of year is tricky for SUNY students because they're gonna be wrapping up their, graduating and everything. High school. Okay. I mean, videographers always want reels, they're called. They need like a portfolio of stuff that they've done. So there's some incentive for an up and coming videographer just to do it for free, to be able to put their name on it. Let me think about that. Let me make that an action item. So, I have only one idea. My neighbor, Peter Fairweather, who won last year, said he wasn't going to enter out of some idea of fairness. And I said that you really don't have to do that. But if he ended up sticking with that, maybe he would judge. I kind of
And
think he
even a
would.
judge can enter artwork. He just won't be eligible to win, but
Okay. Would you like me to ask him? Okay.
And please encourage him because
I did already.
he has such beautiful.
He's really
artwork.
talented.
And maybe even one of us could be a judge, just to represent ourselves a bit more.
I mean, I think you would be qualified. I would not. Kathy have artistic talents?
Yes, many talents, but not
Not that
autistic.
one. If anybody comes to mind who's an practicing artist. I mean, I wonder if Mary Kastner would. He's a good judge, but it's hasn't been that many years. I'll keep thinking. Anything else from the art show? Okay. Camilla, can you just update us mostly for the record about Claire's window?
Yes, I think Claire's latest communication, she stated that the windows will be replaced like for like, and they will replicate the dining room window as closely as possible. And she sent us
Spec, like a spec.
for the window, but that was, I think, just for the regular
Yeah.
tour.
I think we'll just have to accept that, they'll come as close as they can. Do you remember what this is about, George? There's a beautiful window. I've got an extra copy of it. Yeah. There's that. If you want. And we're just trying to, as she replaces these, they're 4/1s elsewhere. That middle one is just special. And we were hoping that she could retain that. It looks like she's going to come close. Nice little detail. Camilla, thanks. That's great.
If they cannot.
I really don't know, but that's their business thing. We've done all we can do to try, and we can't really. Yeah, indeed. You know how some people use windows for interior decorating? We'll just put a, that would make a beautiful one, just
Yeah.
because of that arch. I hope, maybe encourage her not to throw it out.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, okay, moving along. So Bluestone survey check-in. Thank you, George, for those photos. I mean, that really shows you what Bluestone can be. Beautiful and very, very
Yeah,
intact.
what is so interesting, how did they get the funding to do this?
Great question.
So, that's worth some investigating
Yeah,
to talk to, I guess, the town supervisor there.
yeah, somebody would know.
Maybe Tim knows him,
I think that's probably the route. Tim
Right.
would know who to talk
who
to.
to talk to there that we could get info on. I mean, it's the entire Route 209, the
Yeah.
entire village has it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really, really
all the
nice.
handicap accessible, drops that are needed
Yeah,
as
that's,
there,
yeah,
and the recessed curbs.
Oh, good.
And everything is just bluestone, beautiful slabs of bluestone. And, on some of the older structures where there were bluestone, they look like they reset them and kept the old stones,
yeah, and just,
like in front of the library and some few other places. As there, those are the old
Yeah.
stones.
that's right, they look great. The only thing, the one bad thing I saw, and it's the nature of the material, where the driveway is, was the only cracked bluestone. So, trucks going over that.
There's a few cracked areas, and you're gonna
Maybe a
have
few.
that when, not everyone was set perfectly and stable, and then again, like
There
you
it is.
said, yeah,
Yeah,
trucks,
yep,
And
heavy vehicles,
you're gonna have some of that.
yeah, and maybe the move
And you would
is,
have that with concrete too.
that's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they should have just kept the blacktop for that segment, but maybe there's some reason.
It kind of needed to follow through the walk there. But,
Oh, that's really instructive. How did you have time to do the survey?
I haven't.
So let's just do it all next month. For my little bit, so I did my section, which turned out to have a lot less bluestone than somehow I had in my head, just Prospect and Grove. And the one thing I learned is that the condition was much better on Prospect because there's a curb. That stuff's, minimum 3 to 6 inches off the street, whereas the really degraded stuff on Grove Street is below the crown of the street. So no mystery what's going on
right.
there. We'll see what, Shane and Michael and Stephen come up with. But Val, let's just kick that down to to May meeting. Just racing through some stuff now. The town HPC mapping site. So what's going on with that, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, is yeah. Yeah, no, just to give you a look. So it's all clickable. Val, if you would just any of those, like Plutarch or whatever, Butterfield's fine. You get these maps. Each one of those pin drops represents a property. You click on it, and there's a brief description drawn from the 2003 reconnaissance level survey. So it just gives you a thumbnail on the property. What John is looking for before this goes public is any input. So if you have a few extra minutes to click around in areas that you know well and happen to see something that is wrong, it shouldn't be wrong, but maybe information that you could potentially add. What I think would really make this thing hum is photos, which it so far doesn't have, but that may be another phase. So that would just be something that as time permits, if you could try to give that a little attention in the next month. The CLG manual survey. That was really easy. That was like under 10 minutes. And they're just asking, how often do you go to the CLG site? Do you ever go to the CLG site? What would you want to see on it? I did it in 6 or 8 minutes and I answered every question. So not that difficult. Also having to do with CLG, the annual report is due at the end of next month. So I hope to have a draft to show everybody for the May meeting. And then if we approve it, then we can send it in that same night or the next day. The grant application. So they're also soliciting grants. And George, this is state money that they will send to a project in a community. The grants that tend to win have some matching element, usually our labor or some kick in by the village. And we don't have to do anything at all. We often don't. But if we were, John Orfitelli, who's the chair of the town HPC, suggested that we might do something around Native American and African American sites and explanation of history related to that. Seems like a good idea. I don't necessarily know what form it would take. So that's one idea. Second idea would be to try to get a little seed money for this oral history project that's been on our radar for a couple of years and hasn't really gone anywhere. And what we'd want there is maybe some money to pay a professional music or sound editor to kind of clean up these interviews. There are all kinds of cool things that they can do where they shorten the pauses between people talking, they take out pops and things that people do into microphones, just clean things up. Or we can do nothing at all. They definitely do take some work to apply for. I don't know, any strong feelings?
No, not at all.
Maybe no, what do you?
Strong projects, as I could say.
Why don't I do this? Let me send it out as a question to the 5 or 6 of us, because we've got 3 people missing. Might not be really fair to talk about it in their absence. So let me send that out. If we wanted to go ahead, we basically have about a month to come up with something. And there's some moving parts to it, like Tim would have to sign it. I think it might even, if it involves any village money, it might have to be probably would have to be voted on by the village board. It's usually a match, although often the match is our labor. Yeah. So let's just push that one off, and I will reach out by email with 2 distinct ideas.
Okay.
Michael is responsible for the code revisions. We'll hear from him next month. Budget report. Was clear in my mind. We're 89. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? I printed out an old one. Yeah, so we're 84% through the year. We've only expended 71%. We're right on target for personnel and way under for contractual. So good budget report. And we should be hearing soon about next year's budget, which we submitted 2 months ago. Training development. So there's another seminar coming up April 10th. And then
You comment on the budget report.
oh sure.
We need to get you at the government level to run the budget
Yeah, if only.
at that rate.
Yeah. And we always ask for a flat budget. I mean, we're magical for this village, I think. Good point, Val. Good point. No. Yeah, if only everything worked that way. I always forget, the one that just happened, that was harassment. This is violence prevention. We have to do each of that or both of them. So if you find yourself with time Wednesday morning, did you register? And was that from a link from the village?
Yeah. Also.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
We have to do which ones?
yeah, it's two of them, George.
What I did those already,
Probably last year.
You didn't rest.
That's what you do.
right? I didn't do that one? Now, where is that here?
It's gonna be in an email from Nicole. Could you forward that out? Yeah,
Please.
it's
Now.
just one of these things that has to be done, George. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, tax of volunteering. It's all fairly new, like it's coming in the last 5 or so years. So Nicole sent an
Thanks,
email,
Val.
but Val will resend that. I'd have it. You could send it out to everybody. Can't hurt. I didn't think I could do it on the 10th, but now I think I can. And then there's a webinar coming up on April 18th. The one that I thought looked really good for us is the one on May 8th. I think I sent an email suggesting everybody get that on your calendar. You don't have to pre-register for that one. Just click on the link at the time it starts. Webinar recordings are available. And those YouTube resources. I'll confess I haven't had time to pursue most of these. I mean, we're
I
volunteers.
signed up for quite a few of the seminars and webinars, and I had every intention of watching them in real time. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, they're only 24 hours in a day. But I think, this year we do want to be a little more proactive about trying to do these things, and I will kind of track that information so we can report. Other business would be, so the pilot episodes of the oral history recordings has to do with that question in number 7. The DRB guidelines, they're just kind of on hold. Shane's such a busy guy, and I have been so busy, but we'll just keep it on the agenda. I think that covers everything. Can you think of any new business or anything to go over? I feel pretty good. I feel good about both of the applicants we saw tonight. I think that particularly the farm stand side of it sounds really good to me. I remember when My Hero Pizza went out of business and that building was vacant for a while. My prayer was that would be a farm stand, because it has a nice big parking lot, super central. I kept thinking, like, if Robbins was still in business, the Robbins satellite could have been right there, and they would have done great business. Have a little like soup bar and fresh vegetables, fruit. Oh well.
Yeah.
But these
A
guys,
little swan to kill. Did the swan to kill in Accord
if I have, I can't
on
remember.
209? Swan to Kill Farms?
Oh yeah, I must. Yeah,
What a great place.
yeah.
You get soup, you get
Yeah.
sandwiches, you could get baked goods.
Yeah,
It just has little groceries. They sit down there, it's just
yeah.
really nicely done.
Is that the farm that's associated? There's a guy who works up at Builders First named,
Kelder, Scott Kelder?
no, is he associated with them?
No, but he's from the Kelder farm,
Okay,
across from that.
no, there's another guy, Jonathan Shealy, I think. But the Shealys wouldn't be that far. There's a set,
Sure.
I know he grew up in that area.
Yeah,
But anyway, I wish Mike and his wife well. I mean, that's a really good thing for the community.
yeah, especially maybe he cleans up the building. I mean, you know, that was a really special building that they threw in those picture windows and bastardized it with the vinyl and the plastic shutters and, yeah, and the peace sign on the top, whatever.
I get the sense he may want that.
It's Jonathan.
Is there a motion to close the meeting?
Yes.
Moved by
I
George, seconded by Camilla. All those in favor? Okay, so we can stop recording.